In this video, we are going over how to dominate as a center midfield player in football. So if you play in that position or a similar position, make sure you watch all the way until the end. That's coming up next. When I'm busy doing totally legitimate things, I rely on OneFootball to give me all the news stories, fixtures, results, and more from the world of football. Download it for free today. Welcome to Simply Soccer, guys. My name is Dave if you're new here, and on this channel we release weekly soccer tip, technique, and training videos to help you improve your game and stand out on the pitch. So if you have not already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that bell icon so you don't miss any content that we release. Also, if you have not gotten my free ebook, Game Changer, yet, you can do that by getting it and downloading it in the link down below in the description. Like I said, I want to give you some things that are going to help you dominate as a center mid, not just be another player, not just be someone who is average, someone who actually is out there playing amazing and is standing out in this position. So number one is starting with the fundamentals, is mastering 1 and 2 touch football and also passing and moving. Let's look at it kind of from a practical standpoint. One of the things you're going to be doing the most is 1 and 2 touch in the middle and also passing and moving. And if you are not already doing these things as a center midfield player, then you're probably restricting your play, you're probably restricting your team, and you're probably actually hurting them in the long run. You know, a center midfielder needs to be a master at playing a first-time ball or playing 2 touch with their other center midfield players, their attackers, their defenders, because a lot of times you're going to be in congested space. You don't really usually have time in the middle, except in certain circumstances, to hold on to the ball, really think about what you're going to do. So you need to make 1 and 2 touch instinctual, something you can do automatically. The other part of this is to pass and move, and all of you have really probably learned this from your youth coaches when you were younger, or you might be young now, and they should be constantly telling you pass and don't watch your pass and then move into open space. Pass and create a passing lane for your teammate, or a pass back, or simply create space for another teammate. This should be just drilled into your DNA by now as a center midfield player, and really for most players. So make sure you have mastered this area, and if you haven't, make sure you're working on it heavily. Number 2 is another very practical one, and it's be smart. And what I mean here is know when to be disciplined, but also know when to express yourself in this context. Now, what I'm talking about here is because the center midfield position is a very, very disciplined, yet also is very open for expression. And all I mean is know when you need to be in position, know when you need to defend, know when you need to not get forward and hold your position, know when you need to play simple, but also know when you need to express yourself. One of my favorite center midfield players is Kevin De Bruyne, although he kind of plays in multiple different positions. But one thing I love about him is not only can he play simple masterfully, he knows when to just pass it back, he knows when to just do the simple things perfectly. He also knows when he can express himself. He knows when to take someone one-on-one. He knows when to push the ball quickly into space and take a shot. He knows when to whip that ball in. He knows how to be dangerous and when to be dangerous. And he knows how to play simple and when to play simple. And although this may not seem like a big deal, knowing the difference between when to do this and when not to do this is huge. It has to do with decision making, and one of the greatest skills a center midfielder can have is just mastery, world-class level decision making. Because you might know how to play simple and you might know how to express yourself, but if you don't pick the right option at the right time, it doesn't really matter that you know how to do it. It's about the application of the things you know, not necessarily knowing how. So make sure you are learning, you know when to express yourself and when to play things simple. And a little hint is most of the time you'll play things simple, but you need to take advantage of those moments when you can express yourself and try and make something happen. Speaking of trying to make things happen, number 3 is try things. Do not be afraid of making a mistake. Now again, you're not supposed to be stupid with this, but what is something that all the best center mids have in common? Sure, they're positionally disciplined. Sure, they know when to play simple, but like I already mentioned with Kevin De Bruyne, he can also make things happen. He tries things. He tries to cross. He tries to thread a creative ball through. He tries to score. You know, he tries to do all of these things. And, you know, it's great to be a tidy little midfielder who just does 1 and 2 touch all the time, but eventually you'll get found out, and eventually you're just not going to make things happen. You need to try things in matches. You need to know, again, when to express yourself, and just don't be that player that really plays within themselves. Now, number 4 is one thing that's going to help you do that, and is you need to develop an X factor. Again, this is going to help you to stand out in this position. Now, what is an X factor? An X factor is that one thing you can just do better than everyone else. You know, one way I can explain it is David Beckham, although he wasn't a center mid, what was his X factor? His crossing ability and passing ability was just out of this world, one of the best in the world. That was his X factor. If he got spaced out wide, he didn't even need to beat the player one-on-one because he could put the ball on his striker's head every single time. That was his X factor, right? You know, what was Kaká's X factor when he was, he was more of an attacking midfield player? What was his X factor? He could just run through people and score goals. He could set things up. What was Steven Gerrard's? You know, he had a little bit of everything, but he had so much attacking thrust. He just drove forward and just grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck. So what is your X factor? What is something you can develop? Now, in order to do this, what I recommend you do is you already look at your game now, look at what your game is like now, and highlight something you're already good at. Because taking something you're not so great at and turning it into an X factor is going to be a very drawn out process. But if you want something now, if, for example, you're amazing one-on-one, really hone in on that X factor. If your passing ability is amazing, double down on that X factor. Have that thing that when you step into matches, people know, like, damn, that's the guy who, you know, if you give him a chance to cross, he is just gonna hurt you. Or if you give that guy a chance to shoot, don't let him shoot. That's all I'm saying. You know, you want something like that. Now, of course, the more X factors you have, the better. What makes Kevin De Bruyne so good is not only, again, does he do the simple stuff and all that, but he has multiple X factors. He can score from distance, he can thread the needle, he can beat you one-on-one, he can put in the crosses, but that's the best of the best, right? If you don't have any right now, work on developing one first, and then using that as often as you can in your matches. Number 5 is a huge one for center midfielders, and I mentioned this in another recent video, just in general, but it's learning how to control the tempo and learning what you should be doing with the ball, how fast and when you should be doing it. You know, a huge mistake so many players make, and this is a very intelligent thing, so it does take a lot of practice to get good at, but a huge mistake a lot of players make is not knowing when to play quickly and when to slow it down and everything in between, because it's not always 100 miles per hour and 0 miles per hour. It might be 70, it might be 30, right? But having the intelligence to know, oh shit, we're about to counter, I need to play quickly, I need to find the best ball and outlet quickly, or I need to drive with the ball quickly, because if I don't, the counterattack will be ruined. And also knowing, you know what, things are kind of frantic right now, we're being pressed, I need to slow things down, I need to find a way to calm the game down. You know, you need to know when to do which. When do you need to take that first time pass to keep the play flowing? And when do you need to just take a hold of it because you're in space, there is no chance for the counter, you don't need to play quick, and you just need to focus and calm things down and maintain possession. You need to know when to do each, and you need to have the ability to do each. All right, guys, so I want to give you one last one as like a little bonus, but it's also important. And I kind of implied it earlier, but I just want to make sure that I am including it, and it's finding pockets of space. Now, I included this in pass and move, but even if you're not getting the ball and you're not passing and moving, you need to be moving in general. Finding those pockets of space, being available for the ball. You know, usually for most center midfield players, a lot of the play is going to go through them. But if you're not getting into the spaces you need to be in, if you don't, you know, get back to receive the ball, if you don't get into that pocket to receive the ball, then you can't be that outlet for your team. And if you are covered and you're not getting into space and you're not making yourself available, that's also going to make it very hard for your team. If you've ever been in a situation, maybe for you guys who play more defensively and you're trying to get the ball forward, but no one's open because no one's moving, how frustrating is that? A lot of times that's because the midfield is not moving. You know, the attackers can't come all the way back to receive the simple pass. They can make runs, but a lot of times it's because the midfielders are not finding the space that they need to find in order to get that attack going. Guys, question of the day is twofold. Which one of these things do you do the best right now, and which one do you need to work on the most? I'm very curious to know, so let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning into this video. I really do appreciate it. Let me know some other videos like this you want me to cover. Also, make sure you check out the 2 other videos I have put up on screen now so you can continue to learn, improve your game, stand out on the pitch, all that fun stuff. And I'll see you in the next video.